Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Success Without Sacrifice show. Today, we have a very special episode. We are talking to a chief information officer of a global bank who was burnt out and ready to walk away. And today, she is absolutely thriving. Stay tuned. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Super excited for you all to listen to this very special episode. My name is Kate Byars. And today on the Success Without Sacrifice show, we are talking to Jo, who is an incredible, incredible woman. She is the CIO of a global bank, and she has an incredible story to tell about how she went from being ready to quit, having that stress and strain that a lot of us can relate to in her marriage, to where she's at today, which is simply thriving. Jo, welcome. Super excited to have you here.
Thank you, Kate, for inviting me. I'm excited about this.
I am as well. So let's just start with really what you do. Why don't you give all of us a flavor of, maybe a little bit about what your day-to-day is, what's your title, what do you do, maybe some of the heavy lifting that is on your plate.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned I'm a CIO of a bank, and I look after the vertical that's digital transformation. So that means I head up the digital customer-facing channels. So our mobile app, our online banking presence, and our digital account opening. So it's fairly stressful in that it's 24/7. We have to make sure that we have everything up and running all the time. Can't have any downtime. Well, minimal at least. So that can be, quite a pressure. I've got a team of around 100 resources. They all have their unique character traits, which obviously adds to the complexity of the day. The kind of the vision of the bank is that, we want to make sure that we're helping our customers prosper and thrive financially. So we need to nurture our customers. We need to deepen the relationships and make sure we deliver really good customer experiences. So, we're not perfect. We've got a long way to go, but we have the vision, and delivering on that and making sure we deliver flawlessly, not creating any outages, is really important.
Oh, wow. So that's a lot on your shoulders, Jo, because what I heard is it's 24/7 and you have at least 100 people on your team. Like, this is not a small job. This is a big job, right?
Yes. Wow. Yes, it is. It is. And, it was getting a little bit too much. Talking about the things that we've learned at CWU and CWR, I was trying to do everything myself. I was trying to be in all of the details, in the weeds. I was supporting my teams on all of their software deployments overnight. And, whilst that was okay as looking after a single team, as I kind of scaled and had more teams, you just can't be everywhere at 2 a.m. every night. It was, becoming too much. So I knew I had to do something different.
Yeah. How long were you operating that way, where you were just we call this the workhorse, right, Jo?
That's me.
Being the workhorse instead of the magician. So how long were you operating that way, would you say?
I would say, I've been in the US for 11 years. Probably, the last 5 years, I've had a large scale team. So, and I've been working with you guys for a year now. So I'd say, a good 5 years, I've just been grinding it out. And, I can do this. And I could keep going, but it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. Well, it starts to take a toll. So why don't you tell us a little bit, what's going on outside of work, right? So what other things in your life are you trying to balance, or, are really precious to you that maybe you weren't finding the time or the energy to focus on?
Well, definitely my relationship with my husband. It was like a continual dialogue that we had, that he felt that I enjoyed work more than being at home with him, which wasn't true. I was just trying to do a good job. My whole kind of ethos is, to be a good girl, to work hard, to get the job done. So, but I was putting too much emphasis on that and not enough of kind of balancing it, across my marriage and my family. So that was a constant source of stress. I was always the person that would, call him saying I'm on my way, when I wasn't really on my way at all. I was writing another email, which was something that you said in your, in your marketing video. And I was like, that's the reason why I pressed the Facebook ad, because I was like, oh, this is me. Everything you were saying in that video was all the things I was doing. So.
Oh yes. I cannot count at all. How many times I've told a family member or a loved one, I'll be right with you.
Yeah.
And then before you know
Yeah.
it, 3 hours go by, they've gone to
Yeah.
bed. And now I'm slinking in the house trying to think of the next excuse of why I didn't show up
Exactly.
for dinner.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or I would be, I'd lie and say, oh, the traffic was really awful. When it wasn't.
Oh, my heart. Like I've been there, Joe. Oh, it's the worst. I get it. I get it. Oh, and bless. Okay. So other than your partner, you also have a daughter and a
Yes.
home and all the things to as well, right?
Yep. I have a daughter. She's just turned 21 this week. So she's away at college, but I want to be the best role model I can for her. And being a workhorse, that's not the kind of precedent I want to set for her. So she definitely looks up to me, and she sees that I have a good job, and she wants that, but she doesn't want to work 15 hours a day. She definitely doesn't want to do that, and she's made that very clear. So I want to be able to set a good example for her.
Yeah. I mean, I can say, Joe, that this is the remarkable thing about those of us who have been in that workaholic role. Our kids don't want it because they see, they see the cost and they're like, I'm not working 15 hours a day. And I also think it's very part of this next generation, which is exciting. I think they value a lot of the things we value, but they want to do it in a different way. They want to have the well-being and the well-roundedness and more of an interesting life than just work.
Yeah.
Wow. But that's a lot. When I'm thinking of you, Joe, for 5 years working in this way, your daughter's in high school. She's coming up through those years when, you can't just tuck them into bed at 8 and then get back to work. Cause that's when they come in at 11 o'clock at night and they're like, I need to talk to you. And you're like, I'm not even home, or I'm so exhausted. I don't even have the space to talk to you. Like, that's tough. Right.
And something had to change for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So what were some of the things you were trying before you came up to this thing? Like, something has to change. Like, what were you trying? Were you just thinking, as soon as this project gets done? Was it time management? What were you doing?
Oh, it's always that. It's always, and even now, even though I've learned things, I can see myself falling back into as soon as I've done that, I will get back to my habits, and that's what I was doing. I was like, okay, so next week I'll do X, Y, or Z. And my boss and the culture at the company is, you just need to be firm and harsh, and people have just got to get the job done, and Joe, you're too nice, you're too soft. So I was trying to kind of balance that, and that's really hard because I genuinely believe that I can still be a kind and compassionate person, but be influential. So I really wanted to find a way of getting that balance. Because I simply can't just be harsh to my people. I understand how they feel. I've been there. I've done the work that they're doing now. So I know what it's like. So I tried all kinds of things. I tried delegating. I tried clearing my calendar. I used to set an alarm on my phone for 7 o'clock every night to make sure that when it went off, I knew I had to leave, because otherwise I would never leave, because I wouldn't kind of notice. I tried to do things like agree with Simon that we'd have a date night, we'd do this, but it was all very kind of mechanical, and I just didn't feel like my heart kind of wasn't in it. I didn't kind of get it. I was just trying to do things to placate various other people in my life, and rather than thinking about me. And so it was just a bit of a mess, really.
Oh my gosh, Joe. And this is something for all of you who are out there listening today. Like, we talk a lot about on this show, training your DNA, right? Or taming your DNA. And what Joe's really sharing, and I think a lot of us, we're in the same role. When you're an ambitious woman and you've created this successful career, you're driven. You didn't get there because you were working 9 to 5. You got there because you're driven. You got there because you're all or nothing. And what Joe's talking about is that all or nothing thinking. Like, as soon as this project completes, then next week I'll whatever. But as we know from experience, as soon as one project is over, as soon as one mess is cleaned up, as soon as one person on your team, is developed and you can delegate to them, there's something else that's breaking. There's another challenge. There's another fire. And so what happens is we end up putting our life off. And it's not that you're not doing some of the things. I love what you said, Joe. It's like, it was very mechanical. It was very like, okay, yes, I am attending this date night with my husband, but I'm attending it. I may not be in it, or there's not joy. It's not flow. It's just check that off the box. Okay, great. Now I'm back over here. And that just stinks. Like, that's no place to live long-term. did you start to feel like you were burning out? Did you ever think like, I got to give this up. I can't keep doing this. Where
Oh,
were
yeah, for sure, for sure. And you know, on weekends, I'd always be like, okay, I'll resign then. I'm going to resign. But I never did resign because I'm not a quitter. I wanted to find a way to make this work. And, you know, I also had college fees to pay, which are super expensive. So I wasn't in a position that I could just quit and stop. I had to find a way through this that was going to work out. So I kept going, and then I met you. So
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you didn't quit. And I'm curious, how does your hubby feel now? Like, is he glad you didn't quit? Like, is he starting to see the pieces of you that he was missing?
I think so. And, you know, even though he would get very upset and still gets upset that, you know, I work a lot of hours and maybe I'm not prioritizing him, I know that he's very proud of me. And, you know, and he also recognizes, being security dominant, that, you know, we need this salary, and it, you know, it helps enable us to have a nice life. So yes, he's definitely kind of taken all of this on board. I think at first he was skeptical. And I think he'd like to have seen me make progress faster. But I think now I'm turning this I feel like I'm going around a really wide corner now. Yeah. And he's definitely seeing the difference, and he's seeing the little habits I have, and he's got his own journal. And, you know, last weekend he said, Joe, you know, we need to sit down and we need to write down our dreams. That's what we need to do. He's like, I want to make a dream board. So I was like, okay, let's do this. So and he knows the 7 universal needs. And so it's part of the family now as well.
Oh my gosh, this makes my heart so happy. Well, because what you're talking about is that both of you now are intentionally co-creating the life, versus kind of where I think a lot of us have gotten stuck, which is we're doing all the things, right? Okay, we've got jobs and we've got the house and, you know, beautiful children and the bank accounts or whatever, but we're not really in it because it's just happening to us.
Yes.
Like, that's how I felt. I felt like I was just on a freight train, and the freight train was going, and I'm like, get me off of this.
It's like, is this life? Is this it? Would it be better to have less and enjoy more? Which is obviously an option, but
yeah,
there's a solution for everything. So
there is. Okay. So give us some tangibles, Joe. Like, what are some of the things maybe that you're seeing in yourself different, the habits or that DNA shift? Is it, you know, because we have big jobs and you're not going to be someone who's working 40 hours a week. You're still going to have to work a lot of hours at times, but do you feel more in control of your hours? Are you able to work less, or at least be more in control?
Yes.
You know, is it more your emotional state? Like, tell us some of those things.
Yeah, I would say I still do work a lot of hours. And I think working at home makes that a whole lot more kind of, I don't know, the day runs away with you. But I would say more than anything, it's a mindset kind of change that's shifted. And that's what's made the real difference is I really kind of honed in on limiting beliefs and how, you know, thinking about my childhood and things my parents had taught me. And, you know, my mum is a massive role model in my life and I adore her. But she brought me up to work hard. Working hard was good. You know, really like grueling work was hard. And that's what you get rewarded for. So that's how I've been all my life, is that if I keep working hard, if I work harder and harder and harder, I'll get there. And therefore, and like being busy is being productive. That's like a belief that I had. And I've now sort of stepped back and said, actually, no, that's not right at all. I need to use my workhorse mentality and that tenacity in a different kind of a way, which is what I've been really focused on doing, is like really intentionally thinking about things and stopping and breathing and saying, okay, how do I want to respond to that? What am I going to do about this? Trying to make that white space in my calendar, which isn't easy, but I know that I need to spend time and my stubbornness on thinking about strategic things for my team, thinking about how I can make their lives easier, because that ultimately makes my life easier. So they're the kind of things that I've really been trying to do. Definitely like journaling every day, because that kind of sets my mind for the day. And sometimes I don't do it every day, and that doesn't matter. You know, I make sure, you know, several times a day I do that, because that sets the tone for the day. And it reminds me, it's like a little habit to say, okay, this is the way you are now. This is how you show up. You don't just kind of come screeching into the meeting with your hair on fire. You know, I come in and I'm calm and I breathe. Because one of the things that I really struggle with is I find it hard to articulate eloquently because I'm just going too fast. So I know that if I kind of breathe and calm down, then I can think of the, the big words to use rather than, just everything falling out of my mouth, which is probably what I'm doing now. But so that's it's those little habits, little steps, and really, really understanding that the time is now. It's not that, I'm going to get better at this and I'll have this life in 6 months. I can have this life now if I just do tiny things like 10 minutes of a workout. It doesn't have to be half an hour, just 10 minutes, but just keep taking these little steps and you feel like you're progressing. And then it's kind of the wheels start turning faster and it just feels really good.
Yeah, because then it comes in a state of flow versus a state of push, push, push. And really what Joe's talking about for all of you out there is she's talking about, she's learning now that art of disconnecting your emotional self and your mental self from work. Because as high achievers, we drive. What's next? What's next? Throw us 12 balls at once. We'll catch them. And we'll just shout out whatever we need to shout out in the middle of whatever to get it done. But that long-term is not productive and it's not effective. And so what Joe's learning and what she's putting into practice, which is hard because we're not wired this way, is taking those small breaks. For Joe, it, like you were just saying, it might just be centering yourself or doing some journaling or creating a little bit of white space, a little bit at a time. But when you start weaving those things in over and over throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, and you get more practiced at this, all of a sudden what happens is you've created a better pace for your life, but you're more effective. Like you're saying, when you're in a meeting, it's like very clear that you can be responding to something in a way that's such more higher level than when you were before. And this is how we see women become even more effective at their roles, even though they're AKA working less, because they're taking 5-10 minutes here and there. And it's so beautiful. Joe, have you experienced, I'm just curious, have you started to experience some energy from that yet, where you're finding yourself with a little bit more energy at the end of the day, or just a little bit more presence when you are doing something, whether it's your workout, you feel like you're more in it?
Yeah, definitely. And one of my habits in the morning now is that my alarm goes off and I don't pick up my phone and look at social media, because before you know it, 20 minutes is gone. It's like, no, there's no social media before workout and, journaling and having breakfast. And then, while I'm eating my cereal, I might look at Facebook, but I have to set those habits and be really disciplined. But once you get into the habit, like 21 days in or whatever, it becomes more natural. And then as you say, it's no longer mechanical. It's just something natural that you don't waste time looking at Facebook, and then that means you've got time for your workout, which makes you feel set up for the day. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's that peak performance state. And that's really that elevation, I think, that we're not taught. It's like, I always compare it to like, you're being handed this role in the big leagues, the big leagues of whatever sport, but without any guidance of how to behave. You have to start behaving differently, ladies.
Yes.
You can't just be like, okay, great, thanks for the title and the salary, and keep working the same way. And that's how so often, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was happening to you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely practicing, you've got to keep doing the same things over and over to get better at it. You can't just kind of try it for a week. And of course, it's not going to have worked by 1 week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's conditioning. Yeah. Do you hear that out there, ladies? Because we're so impatient as high achievers. We're like, okay, I tried journaling for a week. This sucks. And it's like, look, it's not about journaling or not journaling. It's about the space you're creating to really get centered for the day and moving through that. But it's a conditioning, you have to condition this new way of being. Joe, you're living in a different way than you were before. And I think that's really key that people need to hear if they're listening to your story, because it sounds so easy. Don't just take Joe's strategies like, oh, she said journaling, let me journal and I'll just be like Joe. And it's like, no, it's Joe's really operating from a mental and emotional space in a much, much different way. Wow.
And that took me a while, because I was like of the opinion of journaling, I'm not doing that. Yeah. But it's not about journaling. It doesn't really matter what you write down. It's just the fact that you're doing it and it's intentional, and that's definitely really helped.
Yeah. So, okay, Joe, there's another CIO out there, another female executive, and she's dying. She's ready to walk. She's like, this sucks. I'm not doing this anymore. But like all of us, feels that sense of being trapped because we're walking away from income that can make a significant difference to the future and the lifestyle of our families. There's also this sense of being like, wait a minute, like I was born for this. I should be able to do it. I'm not someone who walks away. What's something that you've gained? Like, is there some knowledge that you've gained, or, you mentioned before, like that the tribe, like what's been significant for you that you might tell that other woman out there?
Definitely, the being part of a group of similar-minded women has been incredible. I love my girlfriends to death, but they don't live the life that I lead. Whereas these ladies that I've met, I listen to their questions in the training or in my cohort, and they have the same worries, the same concerns, the same challenges. So that's amazing. There's people I've met, who aren't part of it anymore, but we'll be friends for life. And that's really, really powerful. And these are people in different organizations, different industries, and we can lean on each other and kind of, it's like a real natural kind of networking. And that's really awesome. That's been amazing. Never experienced anything like that before. And yeah, I love like my cohort, I love them to bits, and we really hold each other accountable. And that helps with that whole habit making as well. So that's awesome for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And it's interesting, Joe, and what Joe is referring to is, so Joe elected to move on past the initial 8 weeks in Corporate Women Unleashed to continue to work with us in like a membership program we have, where you're in a small group cohort, and then we all get together and continue to just resource each other and talk about this way of living and talk about the challenges that we as, women in senior leadership roles have. And I don't think, Joe, I never did this for myself in the initial years of my executive career because I was the lone wolf. I thought I had to have all the answers. I thought there was a weakness. I'm not part of a girls group. I don't need all those things. And it's so powerful. You want to be around people who stretch you, but in a way that they care about you. They're not challenging you. They're not competing with you. They're saying, hey, look, I'm in it with you. Let's stretch each other. Let's get to where we want to go and live these beautiful lives. That's so, it's just really cool. I have to be honest. I never understood the power of it until we, started to create that community within the Good Life Institute. Okay. Amazing. I have to ask you, you said something about social media. So I know you found us through social media. What made you watch you're a busy lady. Like you don't have time for this. What made you watch the webinar or the presentation, and what made you book the call?
So there must have been some blurb in the Facebook post that just caught my eye. And it was at a time where I probably had a massive argument with Simon. I can't remember, but it really resonated. So I watched I think it was like a 40-minute video. It was a video, and everything in that you specifically said, I was like, yeah, that's me. Oh my goodness. So I booked the call and I talked to Summer, and it's the first time that I'd kind of actually opened up to anybody, because being like a lone wolf and I can do this on my own and people don't want to hear about my kind of worries, I'm not important. I'd never kind of done that before, but she really helped me kind of unpack what I was feeling, all the emotions. So I was like, well, let's give this a go. And I'm so glad that I did.
Oh, I am too. All right. Give us a word, Joe. How would you describe your life, maybe in a word or two, prior to this recalibration and learning to operate differently? And then how would you describe it now in a word or two? How do you feel?
So I would say like frenetic or frantic was how I was all of the time. Like honestly feeling like I might have a stroke next week, because that feeling of tightness in your chest, because you want to do so well and you don't want to give up. But it's just, everything was just too much. Yeah.
I get it.
So that was then.
Yeah. How do you feel now?
I would say, my word for CWU was calm, and that's still my word. And I'm not going to say I'm calm all of the time, but I'm definitely calmer than I was. And I feel, that I'm just becoming like more serene about how I show up to things and how I respond to things, rather than getting super stressed out or really worried. It's like, I think about how am I going to respond to this? And that's really helped.
Oh, serene. Oh my gosh. I'm going to like stamp that on my forehead. That's the most beautiful word. I love this. Okay. So one last question, Joe, what's next for you? You have a beautiful life. You've got, a wonderful partner, a daughter who's grown up and becoming a woman herself, or is a woman herself. You've got an incredible job with a team that obviously you're mentoring and leading in such a fierce way. Where do you go next?
I don't want to do this job forever. I kind of fell into technology earlier in my career, and it wasn't something that, I was passionately, wanted to do. So I think, I just been given an opportunity where I work doing a new role, a slightly different part of the organization, something that's exciting. And it's probably like an 18-month kind of thing. So that feels like, okay, I'm going to do that. And that's going to be really good on my resume. And then I think maybe I'm just going to decide to do something different. And like my passion is, I really love like planning and throwing parties with themes. So it's like, well, I know that I'm good at that and I'm not leveraging that skill. So maybe I could set up my own business. So, but that's scary. But I need to then lean into the things that I've learned and say, no, it's not scary. I just need to plan this out and approach it with the right mindset. So yeah, maybe a couple of years I'll do something completely different. And that's not something that I would have considered before I've been through this experience, because I would just be like, no, I must keep working. So now it's like there's opportunities in the big wide world that I could take advantage of.
All right. Well, wow, Jo, thank you so much for being here. I think your story is not only inspiring, hopefully it will help other women out there who are successful realize that they're not alone. And the challenges that we face are common. The problem is we haven't been given the resources or the training to operate at this level, but it is possible. And look, if you're a woman who's listening to the show today, and like Jo, you're a senior leader and you're feeling the strain in your relationships, you're feeling the strain in your health, and you are looking for a different way, I want to invite you to book that same exact phone call that Jo did with our team. On that call, we will meet with you for 45 minutes to an hour in complete confidence, and we will review what is working in your career, what's not working, and what is possible for you. If we can help you, we're obviously happy to tell you, but if not, we have a whole host of other resources we can send you to. The call is literally free, it's complimentary, and it's a beautiful, beautiful time to spend 45 minutes to 60 minutes with someone who's third party, who can even just help you unravel some of the emotions, just like Jo talked about, and things that are going on upstairs you probably haven't even had time to focus on. So please take that opportunity. I want you to go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call. That's goodlifeinstitute.org/call and find a time that works for you. Don't put this off, ladies. Go ahead and book a call and have a really powerful chat. And Jo, thank you again for being here. It's been a phenomenal story. And we are just so happy for your success. And for the rest of you, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye now. Hi, thanks for tuning into today's show. If you want to subscribe, you can do that by clicking the little picture of me over there. If you want to book a breakthrough call, which you absolutely should do, you can click the button below or go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call to book an appointment to speak to us. I'll see you on the next show.